Hello, welcome to episode 69 of the Bitcoin Game. I'm Rob Mitchell. I went to Bitcoin 2019 in June and recorded a bunch of great interviews, but only one interview with someone I kind of knew, and that was Doug Scribner. Doug's been into Bitcoin for a long time, and he recalls buying Bitcoin at Porcfest from Charlie Shrem, Erik Voorhees, and Roger Ver. His first major project, WatchMyBit, was a bit ahead of its time, and now he's focused on Vault Logic, a multi-purpose Bitcoin-capable smart ATM platform. Here we go.
Okay.
All right. So, getting toward the end of Bitcoin 2019, and I am sitting with Doug Scribner. Well, I'm standing, who I originally met at the Texas Bitcoin Conference in 2015. 2015.
I've been to two Texas Bitcoin conferences, and then we reconnected at State of Digital Money, their first event.
And I don't even remember that meeting of you, but I remember.
You were there, though, right?
Yeah.
I remember. Yeah, and then I ran into you at the last State of Digital Money, which was last year.
With your big ATM?
Yeah, we had our giant one, not even the big one. We had our prototype,
that was a
smaller one, yeah.
And it's funny, the reason I recognized you, I think, at the Texas Bitcoin Conference was because you were in a video with Stephanie Murphy.
In a hot tub.
And that drew me in. I wanted to see Stephanie Murphy in a hot tub.
In a bikini.
I don't know if I should be admitting that, but...
That's right.
so I was like, hey, there's the guy who was with Stephanie Murphy.
And that was from my first Bitcoin company, WatchMyBit, which many people, hopefully your audience, would remember from as the first streaming video platform that used Bitcoin for payments. And we were just talking about batching, how batching is important for Bitcoin transactions to save block size, to be faster, to be less expensive. We were batching our video when we paid out the artists. We would allow people to have as many artists as they wanted to split with, and that was all the batching thing. So we were batching Bitcoin back in 2015.
Oh, wow, cool.
And now the big companies are hardly even doing it. Just starting.
Great. I don't know anything about your background, so can you give me before Bitcoin background?
Yeah, I've been in the video conferencing space. I'm a musician. I have a degree in electronics and psychology, so I can help diagnose lovesick toasters or depressed computers. That's my little joke there. I did the Air Force for a while, and then I have been a philosophical libertarian for years. And I'm listening to, of course, Free Talk Live, going to Porcfest 5 years in a row when Bitcoin comes on the radar. And I'm drawn to it because it's stateless, permissionless money that appeal to my libertarian anarchist philosophy. And so I started buying Bitcoin in 2011.
You admit that, huh?
I mean, did I say 2011?
Boat accident?
An earlier time, yes. And then I sold smoothies at Porcfest.
For
2012 for Bitcoin. And then I earned some Bitcoin there when Bitcoin was $6 each. And then I took all the money that I earned, the cash, and I went up to the Bitcoin booth where I bought more Bitcoin from Charlie Shrem, Erik Voorhees, and Roger Ver. And then I started thinking, what can I do in this space? What can I do? And then we started doing WatchMyBit because I have a video background. And then that first company kind of, we were early. We were too early.
Yeah.
That's the answer. Plus, and then Bitcoin prices and mining fees started creeping up. And so all of a sudden, your 25-cent video was costing you 7 cents to get in the next block. So we let that one fall asleep. And, Tone Vase is really interested in white labeling it, though, because he loves Bitcoin. And he's been on it before with WatchMyBit. And then so I've done other things since then.
Yeah, so what was next?
Well, I'm, like I said, philosophically driven, so I want to increase Bitcoin adoption. And it seemed like Bitcoin ATMs were the way to go. So doing some research, we started a company called Vault Logic early days. We were using previously existing hardware. I don't want to say the name of the companies, but basically the customer service was terrible, the hardware was awful, and people were really frustrated with it. So we designed our own.
Wait, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I'm just curious. Is Robocoin still in existence?
Good question. Remember them?
I do.
With their big scanning, they're gone, but their machines have I hear there's a way of doing like some new software on top of the old Robocoin kiosk machines. We looked at them. We looked at placing one of those at the Mall of America because I'm from Minnesota.
What was really sad is I was so excited when the first ATMs came to Los Angeles and they were Robocoins. And, I went in and bought – I still have a bunch of these pieces of paper that are slowly fading on thermal paper. But, like $1, just like, oh, this will be cool to have or give away. And, of course, I just hold of them. But it was so sad they disappeared kind of fast, because what would happen is people would drive really far to come to a Bitcoin ATM, and it would be down, and they would take it out on the people who worked at this little deli place, and they were just like, we couldn't deal with it. People were angry, and like...
Yeah, those problems will exist continuously unless you have some really good deployers and really good relationships with your locations, and cut them in so that they have an incentive to be your first level customer support. And they really are. You know, hey, the machine is down. Well, what do I care? It's not my machine. Well, now the person is incentive to call the right person to get the customer support on the line. So we deal with that a lot too. Yeah.
All right. So sorry to go off track.
Yeah. So we redesigned the machine. We designed the machine from the bottom up. We used an existing platform through a sister company, and then we made it bigger. So a lot of Bitcoin ATMs are shrinking. We're going bigger. So one of our goals, and I'm going to talk about the vision here, which is being rolled out slowly as we go, but we do have active machines in some pretty high-profile locations. So our machine is the first one that combines a traditional ATM, fiat ATM, in the same chassis as other financial services. I'll just leave it there as generic. Vault Logic is a hardware-software platform where we can expose other companies' services. So third parties can build apps on our machine. It's like a giant smartphone. It literally is a giant smartphone with apps. And these apps, instead of having access to your smartphone's microphone and camera and touchscreen, has access to the Vault Logic's ATMs, cash in, cash out, front-facing camera, scanner camera, thumbprint reader we have, NFC reader, touchscreen, and advertising screen. So people can build apps on our machine that may not have anything to do with crypto, and most of them won't in the future. But we do have a crypto app on the machine now a third party has developed with us. And you can buy and sell 7 different cryptocurrencies, including Ravencoin. I always got to throw that in there.
What are the 7?
So it's Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, Dash, Bitcoin Cash, Ravencoin, and... Oh, I'm missing one of them. We have the Wave platform. There it is. The Waves platform is integrated on our system. So we've got Tokes on some of the machines and a little coin called 2Give. And then we can do, we've had ERC20 coins on there as well. So we can add those as needed. So we're ready to go for Waves platform tokens and ERC20s.
And who makes the decision on what's going to be on any machine or your network? Or
right. So the third-party app that we have that does the crypto buy and sell is called Capital Hero, and that team decides what coins go on there. And there could be business relationships that we want to encourage. For example, the Ravencoin instance, we're going to have a machine at Overstock, for example. We've had one there in the past. And now that we've got Raven back on there, the Medici guys are excited to have the machine right there so the employees of Overstock can use it.
Wow. I haven't kept up on the Medici thing at all. How's that going? Do you know?
Well, we just know them because they're an investment group, and and they've got a lot of... Netkey is one of their... they invested in Netkey and some other groups too. And, T0, of course. So, we have a relationship with them, and we'd like to see them maybe invest in ATMs one day, right?
Okay. So, now you have shown me, I guess you said it was a prototype.
Yeah, you've seen it. And it basically, as far as the user experience, it's the same as the big ones. And so here's a cool announcement I can make on your show here. So our first deployer, the crypto space, they have a relationship with Simon Malls. So you can now find Vault Logic ATMs under the Crypto Space brand at Del Amo in California, and these are the big ones here, Crystals at the Aria Casino. The Simon Mall at Crystals at Aria, which is amazing location. There's been no other quote-unquote Bitcoin ATM that made it onto the Strip at such prestigious locations. There's a really crappy one across the street in a kind of a dumpy place that has a 14% rate. And then also we're about to install at the Forum Shops at Caesar's Palace. So this is through our deployer, the Crypto Space, who has a great relationship with Simon Malls. They're doing a test, and if the test goes well, who knows where it's going to go from there.
Wow. So I don't know if anything's changed, but it seemed like you had a really different model of how this worked.
Yeah, so the vision statement here, basically. So deploying the entire vision, it takes some programming and some legal stuff, but the vision is really pretty cool. We have eventually we want to be known as the bankless ATM. And our deployers, cash management is the biggest problem for BTM and ATMs, where you got to pick up cash, go to the bank, etc. So our machines actually have recyclers inside. So that's cash in, cash out in the same device. But there's also a legal and physical separation to another compartment so that we can run other legal ATM businesses. So it's sort of, the machine is tenant agnostic. So one ATM operator could live in there, or we could operate the ATM portion of it. And then you would pull cash out of your regular traditional bank from one side. Now you've got cash in hand that you own. Well, you can put it right back in the same ATM on a different side, a legally separate vault that can handle other services such as bill pay, eventually gift cards. Right now it does do crypto in and out. So this idea of having a multi-use kiosk, where in the old days an ATM did one thing, dispensed cash. 50 years ago the first ATM came out and it dispensed cash. Here we are 50 years later. What do ATMs do? They dispense cash.
Yeah.
So what kind of they haven't had a lot of innovation in 50 years. So now BTMs came on the scene. Well, but they do one thing. They buy and sell. Some just mostly sell crypto, but some of them buy and sell crypto, but they can't do anything else. So the multi-use kiosk concept is really pretty cool. That means multiple revenue streams for locations, for deployers, and then as apps get added in the future, we can see apps that will do bill pay, cell phone top-ups, gift card buy and sell. And this is in cash, by the way. Eventually we can do it for credit cards too, because it's got a full credit card reader on there. There's some hurdles to get through, but these things are all coming down the future. And one of the people, the segment who benefits from this, apart from rich people who want to buy and sell Bitcoin and go to Vegas and gamble when they get off the plane from Japan without bringing checks and credit cards, is the unbanked and underbanked families, which is 25% of the population in some ways underbanked.
So in the U.S., you're saying?
In the U.S., right? That's a lot of money that companies would want to tap into that market. Well, they can do that because they use cash. They're familiar and they trust the cash rail. So our machine allows them to, in the future, to pay bills in cash, top up their cell phone minutes in cash. You and I probably have accounts with big T-Mobile and AT&T and Sprint because it requires credit cards and banks. But a lot of people are in the cash system where they're only using top-ups. And in other countries, that's all they do is top-ups and these sorts of things as you go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So the biggest thing to me that I found kind of interesting was how you guys have the system set up as far as dealing with some compliance issues and know your customer stuff. Is that is that still the way it was when we bumped into each other?
So know your customer is very important, and we rely on our model is as a hardware and software platform. We rely on our deployers who expose their applications on our system to have. They're the ones who have the money service businesses or the money transmission licenses if required. So if for example, Wells Fargo could build an app on our machine. MoneyGram could build an app on our machine, and when you tap that MoneyGram app, that would be their transmission permissions and stuff like that. So and then on the back end, it's all recorded on a blockchain, and it's a bank blockchain. It's JP Morgan's. It's the Quorum blockchain. So we're actually using sort of bank-grade private blockchain, permissioned blockchain to track all of the payments and the splitting and the ins and the outs. So it's kind of ironic that we're positioning ourselves in a way as a bankless ATM, but yet we're using a bank blockchain.
Okay, and let me just ask you this.
And that's just, by the way, that's just for accounting. It is basically, it's an accounting token on the back end. No one will interact with it.
The Bitcoin Game is sponsored by BTCKeychain.com, probably the most well-known Bitcoin keychains in the world. Get your own, just go to BTCKeychain.com. When I talked to you before, I had this memory of somehow with buying and selling cryptocurrency, you had a way that didn't require the same KYC as you normally expect. Is that?
No, well, the KYC was always part of the plan because it's a highly regulated area when you're dealing with these sorts of things. So we team up with money service businesses and liquidity providers. They have a level of KYC that they have to implement in order to stay practical and legal, and that's what we've done. So our machine, for under basically, it's not a set point, but right now $280 or less, you can just put a phone number in and buy or sell $280 of Bitcoin or other cryptos. With a driver's license scan, which actually scans the barcode on the back, so we know it's a real ID, and a front-facing scan, and then a front-facing camera, you can go up to $9,800 or so per day. And then you can even go higher than that. We can do $100,000 at the machines in Vegas, which have this giant capacity. These things hold more bills than any other BTM on the planet. So $100,000 a day we're going to be able to do. Now that's down the road a little bit. That's part of the vision, but we're going to be doing those demos probably within the next month or so in Vegas. And that requires an OFAC check, which is the terrorist watch list, and it provides a little deeper KYC. And that's all handled through our third-party partnerships.
And so does all that vary depending on who's working with the machine, or is there just one source for all that KYC type stuff?
When you mean one source, what do you mean?
Oh, just who is the back end, I guess, for all this
the
stuff.
license scanning is automatic, and our partners save that data for 7 years, which in case there's ever an investigation, we will definitely, with a subpoena, hand over that information because that's what you have to do. As far as the OFAC list, that's a second or a third level that we do, that our partners do, and that can be done with a phone call. And then, yes, you are now authorized to do higher amounts.
Gotcha. Okay. And
and the machine also has a thumbprint reader.
Okay.
So that's some of the sort of hardware that third parties can build around. Like maybe the military wants to use this machine to pay service members their paycheck, and they require a thumbprint or a fingerprint scan. Boom, we got that. And then they can pick up their cash, and they'll be paid in cash at any one of our machines. So that's just an interesting hypothetical app that could be built.
Okay.
Another feature that we're going to be releasing in the future, part of our vision, is cash balancing. And so like I said earlier, one of the biggest pain points of any ATM operator or BTM operator is cash management. So our machine, eventually will be a self-balancing system where hopefully no trips to the bank will be required and no Loomis or Brinks or Armored Car Services are going to be having to go and service those, reducing the cost greatly to operate this for everybody. So the way that would work in the future is using our back-end Quorum blockchain. We have an accounting token. So the first step is that we use a recycler. So that's an in and an out. So if cash comes in, we got too much cash. Guess what? We'll lower the price of crypto so that people are incentivized to come pull cash out.
Okay, and that's just an interesting thing because I think most people assume that's how ATMs work, but there is a separate thing for the cash coming in and the cash going out on most ATMs.
Well, most ATMs are cash out only, right?
I don't know.
BTMs.
I'm thinking of the Bank of America ATMs, or where you can just deposit your checks or your cash.
Right. There's two different places: an acceptor and a dispenser. Now, a recycler is both of those things in one.
Right.
It's one cartridge or one drum, and it grabs the bills, and the same bills that came in on can get spit back out again. So that's one way that we can help with cash balancing. We've got an in and out situation right there. So that'll reduce bank trips and cash management. The next step is the two vaults are 4 inches away from each other. So if one side gets full, you can pull that cash out and put it into the other side. And now you can dispense cash. That's just the dispenser side. So now you've, again, reduced a trip to the bank, and you're using the dispenser to dispense cash through perhaps an ATM function. The final way, which is the very exciting way that we've talked about in the past, is where we could turn on the crowd and say, hey, everybody who is a Vault Logic member, the machine at the corner of 3rd and Grand is full, and our previous attempts to balance the cash automatically is not working as well. If you go to this machine and withdraw, I'm using those in quotes, pull cash out, from the ATM or buy Bitcoin, we're going to give you a lower rate than anyone. And then now let's say they've pulled out this cash after they've gone through proper KYC, and it's like, oh, I've got this cash. Great. And I got paid $5 to pull out $1,000. Cool. Oh, look, the app just told me that there's another machine that's empty 4 miles away. And if I go, I have an opportunity to arbitrage between machines. Now, if I go to that machine and quote unquote, deposit is a legal word, but put the cash into that machine, now we might give them a bonus on their virtual token, or we might give them a little extra incentive on the Bitcoin sale. So now we've got a crowd of people who are looking for cash balancing opportunities. Now this is kind of complex and requires multiple machines in a city, and the coding is on its way, and that's part of the vision where we would hope then to be able to reduce all cash management down to almost nothing. There'll still be cases where you have to do it, of course, and when that happens, Brinks and Loomis and Garda, will have ways for them to go manage the cash for traditional ATM people, for example. Some people don't want to jump into this new future where there's all kinds of services working in a single ATM, and they're used to the old ways where you call your service provider and they come and pull the cash out and take it to your bank. Banks hate cash, and that's happening more and more where they don't want to deal with cash. So we're trying to find a system where we can still service the unbanked and underbanked and also incentivize people to move cash around small amounts. It's their cash, by the way. They pull it out. It belongs to them. They can do what they want with it. For example, go to another machine and put it back in.
Okay. So couple quick questions. You had said deposit is a legal term. So can you explain that? 'Cause I'm not familiar.
I'm just distinguishing between some deposit terms, which could be a legal term. You deposit money into a bank as opposed to add money to a machine or something like this. But, withdrawing and depositing, they're neutral terms, but they could also be conflated as a legal bank deposit. And these are not bank deposits.
Okay.
Right.
And so you're saying it's really just a software issue to work this out where the people can do this? It's not any tricky legal stuff or anything like that?
No, there's some legal stuff back there. People have to opt in and to agree to be part of the system, to agree to use our underlying stablecoin, and once they do that, and we get it vetted from our attorney groups, then it's a software thing, which has already been working. We already have built a Quorum blockchain, and it's already been tested. And to plug that in then to our system and be able to have an app that triggers people and says, hey, there's an opportunity here to arbitrage between two machines, that'll take some testing. That's down the road a little bit. That's the vision statement. But that's really kind of amazing where we replace basically armored cars with a crowd.
So you just could... If you felt a little nervous about carrying 10 grand around, you could just do 1,000.
Right.
Whatever.
So maybe it's just 500.
Yeah.
And really, they don't even think some of these people won't even be moving cash between the ATM. They'll just be withdrawing or moving their cash out, and we give them a little extra bonus if they go to the machine on this corner as opposed to the machine on this corner. Right. And then an app will tell them where those opportunities are.
Okay.
Lot to take in.
Yeah.
It's kind of.
And how does this? Why is a stable coin necessary? I didn't quite get that.
Right. So it's an accounting token, right? So it's just an accounting token that allows us to figure out which customer has put money in and which pulls it out. Which company perhaps is using our stablecoin accounting token also? That there's benefits to them for that too, because it's. Instead of moving money around through banks and wires, you can do it through a blockchain, possibly. And this accounting token, again, does not leave our system. It's not something that can be traded on an exchange. It's just not going to happen. It's purely an accounting token. It's a private blockchain that's Quorum, which is a JP Morgan product.
And so what have been some of the biggest difficulties in getting this far?
Yeah. There are many because this is a complex mechanical device that has bill guides and recyclers and dispensers and touchscreens, and so just working out some of these bugs that we come across. That's always a challenge. There's manufacturing delays. We're told what time it'll be ready. How many months will it take, and then all of a sudden that day comes and goes, and we've got people waiting to take possession of them. So that's some of the challenges there. And then, of course, there are regulatory challenges at the same time that we overcome by partnering with the right people. One of the saying is you outsource your weaknesses. So we've outsourced some of our money service business partnerships. Then we'll develop those on our own in the future.
Mm-hmm. So you don't need a really expensive lawyers that handles it, the partnerships, or both? Or
well, our partners have those expensive attorneys, and they've done a lot of the vetting, and we're now legal in, or rather because it's their rollout in probably 7 states or so: Florida, Arizona, Nevada, California, Michigan, Utah. And some states are harder to get into than others. Texas requires some very serious bonds and those sorts of things.
Gotcha. And this is a total, I guess maybe it's for any ATM. I have no idea. How do these ATMs connect to the network and everything?
Yep, they're on the internet, and we have a Linux computer instead of a Windows, which is one of the biggest weaknesses in ATMs is they use old Windows XP.
And they don't patch them.
Exactly, Windows 7. Even a lot of the BTMs use crappy little Windows machines. So we have Linux. It's been vetted quite thoroughly by security people. Our sister company, who we based our model on, has a lot of experience with that, and so it's really they were surprised how secure it is, actually.
So, is it actually just like you're plugged in or over the air? Or
well, either way. The machine allows you to do a physical Ethernet wire or a Wi-Fi, and in a lot of the mall machines, we have a hotspot.
So, okay, just over a cell network.
Right, exactly.
Cool. And is it, I guess not a lot of bandwidth going back and forth? Or
very little, yeah. Transactions are very small. We update our ad screens. We can do multiple ads, and that's another revenue stream, by the way, is advertising. So the ad screens get updated over the network as well, and then we can even store video locally on the machine, so those can be video instead of actual, slide decks and stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
And how long have you been working on this?
We've been working on this officially since October of last year, unofficially for much longer. Will Pangman and I first started playing around with ATMs and having them in a couple locations about 2 years ago. But
okay, now I know that name, but I can't remember what he...
Will's been in the space forever. He used to work... He was the community manager at Airbits.
Oh, okay.
And then Edge. Yeah. And so he's a well-known guy in the space.
Okay, and he's not there anymore?
No, he's still on our cap table, and he and I, we moved on, but he's here today, and we're good friends. He lives in Wisconsin. I live in Minnesota.
Oh, okay, but he's not with Edge anymore?
No,
yeah. Cool. Is there anything else you think that we should cover?
Well, one of the things possibly that we're doing, we are doing, is an STO. So a security token offering, and it's going to evolve and change, but one of the concepts is that anyone who buys, and this is for accredited investors only, anyone who buys into our security token offering would get a piece of the revenue from the first X hundred machines. So not just the crypto revenue, but all the other revenue streams, too, that we might be managing or part of. So that's kind of interesting. Most STOs are equity, right? Ours is going to be a share of the profit from the machine. So people would say, hey, I'm a part of this network, and these machines at these mall locations are helping me make money.
Interesting. And is that because basically you need
manufacturing? It's very expensive.
It's for the manufacturing.
Yeah,
gotcha.
These are, like I said, our machines are big. And a lot of these little ATMs are hanging on the wall because they're small and they just get ripped off. So we went big on purpose. They're giant machines that you cannot move. They're 600 pounds empty. Let's put it that way.
Interesting.
And then you bolt it to the floor and you're not going anywhere.
Gotcha. So how much? Oh,
well, there was a demo earlier today of I think it's called Bash BTM, and the guy took a sledgehammer to his ATM and smashed it all over the place and barely made a dent. That's because it's thick steel. Ours are too, and we have many doors. So we've got 2 outer doors, and then once you open those outer doors, you still have more doors with more locks on them that you need codes to get into. So once you open the doors, there's more doors.
So it's all there's not a key also,
and there's 0 keys. Yeah, it's all software controlled, right? Wow. Software and just all kinds of little tricks and. And even if the power goes out, internet is down, it'll still open if you have the right methods.
Oh, is it some secret how that works?
There's a little bit of a secret. Obviously, there's a battery involved, but it's a multiple week battery. So if there's a hurricane, and we can still access those with the right kind of software tools or apps.
So is there a certain amount of money you're going to need to make this happen?
We're looking to raise between the lowest side of $1 million up to $5 million to get us really bootstrapped, and we've got some serious people investigating us, especially with the Simon Mall rollout with one of our partners. It's very, very attractive.
So I'm curious. I mean, that's not an exorbitant amount of money. Is there a reason you can't just get a few people interested to just fund it a more traditional way?
We can, yep. And those conversations are happening as well. Crypto winter hurt everybody, so investors dried up a little bit. It looks like we're coming out of that now, so those conversations are happening, and we've got some pretty interested parties. I mean, people you would have heard of, which I probably shouldn't say.
Well, that doesn't really give too much away. But
exactly.
Again, I'm really curious, with the STO approach. Like if you found someone who just could fund you for all you needed, would you drop the STO?
We would. Yeah. Or we would do a combination. The STO, remember, the STO goes to manufacturing. There's expensive machines. They go to manufacturing. So we would like to have someone invest and go help us with the operations side. We have to build a world-class help desk because half of our job will be educating newbies. We know that, and we're going to be the front lines of that. So, we're looking for traditional investors as well as this STO is kind of a clever way of funding just the manufacturing side. Okay.
I guess as time's gone by, I've become very jaded as far as even though, with ICOs and I guess STOs are the more legally friendly.
It's accredited investors only, so it's a little bit different. Right.
Cool. Where can people go to find out more?
Vaultlogic.com. And our first deployer is CryptospaceUS.com.
Okay. Cool. Well, I'll have to make a trip to the mall.
I'll tell you, in L.A., you can go to Del Amo Mall. You can go to Inglewood near the airport. You can go to Carson. There's a little market there. And then the Crypto Space, their actual storefront, is in San Pedro, California. And then, of course, we got the two big ones in Vegas right now, and more to come.
Okay, but all these locations have the same model?
They do.
Okay.
Yep.
Very cool. Thanks, Doug.
Yep. Thanks, Rob.
I hope you liked hearing what Doug is up to. You can check out this episode's show notes page for relevant links and other information at thebitcoingame.com. You can find me on Twitter. I'm the BTC Game. See you next time.
And we're off.